guys, welcome to the Thrive Show, where we are talking all about creating a healthy lifestyle, a thriving business, and a life of intention, even amidst the COVID-19 crisis. I am Val Nichols. I've been your host, and I'm so excited to have a special guest today. She is a mortgage lender, and she's a special needs mom, and she believes that every woman should rock their inner beauty. We have today Tonya Robertson, and she is here to share her wisdom, her advice, and how she sees the world. So welcome, Tonya.
Hey, thanks for having me.
We are so excited to have you. Before we pressed record, we were talking about quite a few different things. And, I was really curious to hear, there's so much going on in the financial world, in mortgage lending. Like, what are you seeing? What are you observing?
So I'm seeing people needing some direction on what they should do as far as, purchasing a home. Should they refinance? What bills should they pay if they're in an absolute crisis? How can they do it without really damaging their credit and affecting their chances to refi it or purchase in the future? So I've got just a few tips. This is definitely, based on my own experience and based on what I see as a lender. So
that's great, because that is something I'm seeing. I'm a part of a couple different organizations, and we right now are trying to figure that out, honestly, because our cash flow is short in a specific organization I'm a part of. And so we're looking at, do we pay the lease payment? Do we pay payroll? Do we pay utilities? Like, what is your take on that?
So I'll start with personal, because that's where my expertise is. I was a business underwriter there for a little bit, so I can definitely speak on that. So let's talk about somebody who has a mortgage, has car payments, credit cards, and then of course utilities. So in ranking all of those, I would say the most important thing that you should try to pay is your mortgage. Pay your mortgage always on time, because all those other items, even if they're late, if you go to refi your house and you're just wanting to do a rate and term, as long as you've paid that mortgage, you qualify for that refi. And each program is different, but they do what is called a mortgage-only credit report. So they won't even check your score. They will just check to make sure in the last 12 months or 24 months, did you pay that mortgage on time? Yes, you did. All right, let's do a refi. Let's lower your rate and term, and let's make sure you still have a job. That's the only requirements for some of the refis. If you want to get cash out, then they're going to look at your whole, credit report and make sure that you've paid all of those in time. Now, if you have one late or, like COVID-19, that's a crisis. That's easy to explain. But if you have something that happened prior to COVID-19 and you had a bunch of lates, that's harder to overcome. But next, so you pay your mortgage. You call your car, your auto loans. You ask them, hey, do you guys have any options that I can do right now that's not going to affect my credit score? A lot of auto places will let you skip a payment as long as you pay like a $29 fee. Sometimes they'll even just tack it on to the end of your note. But just know that that is not a free payment, and that will extend how long your auto loan is. But it's a great idea to take some of that cash flow that you would have paid on that auto loan and put it towards your minimum payment on your credit cards. Or call your credit card and ask and see what they're doing. Some of them are doing forbearance. Some of them are just, you don't have to make a payment. Call every single person that you need to pay. Call them and see what your options are. Some of them, like your utilities. I got an email stating that they are not turning off utilities due to a crisis. I would say call everybody and see what your options are, and then see what money that you have after you've got food and your necessities on what you need, and see where you can allocate money. And if you can't pay your mortgage in full, send them something. Send them $500, $200. As long as you're making an effort, that makes a huge difference in when it comes time to foreclose or short sell or anything like that. Sometimes they'll even modify your loan and, you know, change your payment size temporarily. There are so many options, but you have to ask.
I love that advice. And I'm thinking about, you know, because we don't know, things could change, and we don't know, is it going to get worse? Is it going to get better? We don't know at this point. But what I'm hearing recently is, I was just reading an article where in the bigger cities, 1 in 8 people are laid off right now. So this is very serious, very real for a lot of people. They're probably sitting in that. And what I'm hearing you say is that, you know, pick up the phone, have conversations, find out what your options are, probably sooner rather than later. Because I'm imagining there's people who are watching this right now. We have people from all over the world, so I don't know what's going on in their countries. But those conversations can be really scary.
Yeah, and you want to have a plan. So say right now, you're good. You're able to pay all your bills. But what does that look like 30 days from now, 60 days from now? At least if you call every single liability that you have, you can be like, okay, well, like student loans right now are putting you, some of them are putting you automatically in forbearance. Like I have a student loan that I had a payment due this month, I think on the 18th, and then I looked to see if I needed to make that payment, and they automatically put it into forbearance. You know, if you're the first person to call, you know, they might be able to work some other deal, or, you know, they are willing to work with you if you're willing to work with them. Sometimes they're just like, I know with credit cards, if you're like, hey, I can only make a $25 payment, they will make a note, and sometimes that'll work. So if you know, if things get really hard, this is my plan. I can skip a payment on my auto payment. I can, I'm going to give, say your mortgage is $1,000. I'm going to give them $800. I'm going to skip my auto payments. I'm going to put $25 towards my credit card payments. And then I'm going to give a little bit, $20, $60, whatever, to your electricity, because I mean you'll have to pay those eventually, so you don't want a massive, because that's going to put you in a deeper hole. So put a little bit, and then what you have left over, buy some food, and, you know, try to have a little nest egg. That's my suggestion.
I love that. And that's such good advice, because what I'm hearing is like a lot of just like planning, paying what you can, putting your necessities first, and that, you know, this is a global crisis at this point. So there is going to be some understanding, some forgiveness, some understanding from the utility companies and credit cards, and we're all in this together.
Yes, and what you don't want to do is you don't want to not answer your phone. You don't want to not call them, you know, because they track all of that. They will look at your file and they'll be like, oh, well, Miss Robertson called me at 4-1 and asked what her options were. And at the time, there were no options. But she went ahead and made a payment. Well, now May, she's in a different situation and she really does need help. So since she contacted us in April, we're now going to do this. And sometimes you need to speak to a manager, or you need to escalate it higher, depending on your situation. Everybody has the ability to do something. You have to ask, though. They're not just going to give it to you. If you call them, they're not going to be like, well, you could skip a payment. No, they want to get paid. Sometimes they're not going to offer that to you. You have to say, at this point in time, what options do I have? And then the next month, ask them again, what options do I have as of today? And it can change. I mean, just like the lending, credit scores are changing, how we do a verification of employment, it's all changing, and it changes by the hour. So keep calling, keep asking, and adjust your plan accordingly.
Yeah, I can imagine some of these places because, I mean, even trying to figure out, like for my clients, a lot of them are trying to figure out what are their options for the SBA loans and all of that before it becomes a problem. Where like, I don't even know if these lenders know sometimes because like the banks are, it's changing every minute and there's not really a lot of, like there's no system. We've never done this before.
Well, and honestly, I've worked a little bit on SBA loans. They, they're different than any other loan, and they basically take all the information and they send it off, and then they have to wait for the government to get back to them. So they may not have answers. Just do what you can, fill it out, and keep following up. Keep asking, because in the world of lending, the squeaky wheel gets the oil. And if you are the one constantly calling, if you're the one constantly emailing, you're going to get the most up-to-date information because you're on it and they know that you're not going away. So they're going to want to make sure that they stay in contact with you. So keep bugging them, stay on them, and stay consistent. That is going to be your biggest tool for surviving this.
What I'm hearing you say is something that's so cool because I believe this is true for every area of our life. Like you have got to advocate for yourself and continue to speak up and continue to advocate because, you know, honestly, I think a lot of us, this is a real big generalization. So, you know, like this is not true for most people, but there's people out there that are kind of like sitting back and waiting. Like the government is going to take care of me. The government's going to do this. However, for anyone that's ever been, you know, in an industry like you're saying like, no, this could sit on a desk forever, or this could sit and wait for information, but we really need to be advocating.
Absolutely. You are going to have to make yourself important. You're going to have to make your situation, and you're going to have to stay on top of it, because you will sit on somebody's desk or you will sit in somebody's queue unless you're saying, hey, what can I do? We're waiting. What do you think I should do? Should I get any more paperwork? Should I get any updated stuff? You know, if this does go for 30 days, everything I sent you may be out of date. So, you know, ask those questions and, you know, advocate for yourself, because just like in life, nobody is going to do anything if you're not trying to help and be an assistant to them, because they're going to rely on you. So be helpful, you know, and do it in a way that is respectful. Do it in a way that, you know, that you're thanking whoever you're working with. Make sure that you're thanking them. Hey, I know you're doing the best job. I don't want to be, you know, calling you all the time, but I am going to check in. So, you know, just with everybody else, just be respectful and honor their time as well.
Yeah, I love that. And that's such a key thing for life because, you know, so for those of you who don't know, we live in a very kind of small area and we have a very small airport. I travel a lot. And because I do that same thing you're talking about, you know, like it's stressful, everyone's like short and angry, and I'm like super nice. They remember me, and I never get charged for my bags. They just like usher me through. They upgrade me all the time. Like this is like real life advice, you guys. So yeah, remember that there's another human being. It's easy to get frustrated. I mean, we're all in this, like it's unknown, right?
Right, and exactly. And like they may not know the answer, and that's okay. Sometimes you just have to take that, you know. They don't have the answer. They don't have an update right now. Okay. Well, I'm going to try back in a week or a few days. And if they know that you're going to be contacting them, they will be like, "Oh, I need to update Miss Robertson, because I know she's going to be calling me in a couple of days or in the next hour." You know, and she's such a delight to talk to. I can't wait to tell her this great news. You know, that's how it is in life. What you put out, you're going to get right back. You put attitude and disgruntled, you're going to get that back. So if you are a pleasure to talk with and you're working with them, you're going to get that right back.
Yes, that is so true. And anybody who's ever worked in any industry where you're working with the public, we get that at a real level. Like sometimes we're held from saying, we can't just say we don't know, right? That's not customer service. But like we have to, share. And like when you have that person that you're just like, you have that relationship with, that really makes it makes a huge difference.
It does. And, sometimes we don't know because we're waiting on updates. But, and that's what I say when I'm talking to somebody. If I don't have an answer, I'm telling them, hey, I'm waiting on an answer. And as soon as I get one, I'll give it to you. And if I still don't have an answer, I'm going to update you and email you saying, I still don't have an answer, but I'm still pressing for one. So I'm still working for you. Just, I'm waiting just like you are. But, having an honest conversation with your lender or whoever you're working with, explain to them, if I'm calling you a lot, I'm nervous. I need something to put me at ease, even if it is saying, hey, I'm waiting on an answer, or you know what, I didn't get an answer. I'm going to call this department again because I want to help you. So just have honest conversations. And, if you're frustrated, hey, I'm frustrated. I haven't got an answer. Could you call somebody else again? Or, just be honest. Goes a long way.
It's such good advice because I'm hearing a lot of frustration from people trying to get loans, trying to get a loan number, trying to like just figure out what's going on. And like you are saying, the people, the powers that be, they don't have the information they need to trickle down to you. So having that patience and that understanding is huge.
Absolutely.
So,
oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead. You finish with your thought.
Oh, I was just saying, in a business, you kind of treat it kind of like you do your personal finances. If you've got a mortgage on your commercial building, you need to be reaching out to your lender and saying, hey, and you've got to pay that mortgage because that affects, how you do business. So if you don't have a brick and mortar and that's what you do to run your business, that's your number one priority. And then, if you've got a fleet, you've got to see what you can do with that fleet. And then, if you can do payroll, make payroll. If you can make only a little bit of payroll, make a little bit of payroll and say, hey, there's a resource of unemployment. And at this point in time, you're going to have to use it. But just have those conversations with your employees, and this is the situation, and this is how we're addressing it. I think people just want to know a game plan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do believe that as humans, we kind of like want to know the why. We want to know the information. So I think that any communication is better than no communication.
Communication and consistency are key.
Absolutely. In everything in life.
Unfortunately. You want to lose weight? What do you have to do? You have to consistently watch your diet and you have to consistently work out.
Yep. Amen. It's true. So I'm curious to know, what is going on? Like, what are you seeing as a lender? Like, what are you seeing in the mortgage world? Like, is there more refis going on? Are you busy? Are you seeing a pullback? Like, what's the status quo right now?
So we still have people that are purchasing, essential workers are, they still have housing needs, and, there's still a need to have housing. And at this point in time, you need something that is stable. Renting, I'm currently renting right now. Let me tell you, we almost had to find a new rental because our landlord had almost decided to either sell our property or move back into it. So if you are, need a consistent home, purchasing right now is a good idea. Sellers are more inclined to give you seller credits. They might be more inclined to work on the price, where before it's a seller's market. They can put a price out there and people will pay it. So it is time to look at purchasing. I've seen a lot of refis and the rates are really good right now. The feds have been gracious with their rates. The way that our rates are based on Treasury and investors, so they do go off what the feds do, but not completely. But they do adjust accordingly. But right now, you are looking at a good rate. I can't tell what the housing market is going to do in the future after this. We could see a decrease in purchase price, but we could see an increase in rate. So, it's kind of a balancing act. And, if you need a home and you need to purchase, now is a good time. And refi is a really good time right now to carry you past these hard months. Say you did refi today, make your April payment, and we could have your refi done, and you don't have to make another payment till July. That frees up a lot of cash to pay essential items such as car payments, pay up your utilities, get some groceries. So, managing those finances, and then your credit never took a ding. And you could lower your rate. So, there are options. You just have to be smart about it, ask questions, and, see what's best for your family.
I love it.
Sorry about that.
No worries. Thank you so much for all of that information. This has been so helpful. And it's really, I know for me, I do ministry and I'm a part of my church, and I'm thinking about, because we own a lot of different buildings, we're leasing, it's really expanded my thought of ideas. So I know that there's people who are watching that, there's brick and mortars, there's doctors, there's chiropractors, there's massage therapists who are shut down. So I know that this has sparked a new idea for them and new thoughts. So thank you so much for sharing all of that. And
great.
Yeah, and for those people who are interested in getting a hold of you and finding out more, maybe they have questions and they're in the Oregon area, how can they get a hold of you?
So I'm a nationwide lender, and I can lend anywhere in the U.S. that there is. I work for Gateway Mortgage, and my email is Tonya, Tonya, Robertson, Robertson, @gatewayloan.com. And you can also reach me at Instagram, and it's at lender Tonya. So lender, Tonya. And I also have my business stuff on my Instagram. So feel free to reach out anywhere, and I can answer questions, even if you don't go through me. If you are using your own lender and just want some advice, I would love to give you some insight.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that generosity. And thank you for joining us today. It's been a great conversation. Amazing. And I'm sure that it's helped a lot of people. So thank you, Tonya.
Great. It was a pleasure to me, and blessings to all.
Yay. All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you next week. Bye.